Hello, I hope you are doing well. I am doing great. Thanks for asking. In the last video, we talked about how you can write your own version of select, well, of dplyr select using dplyr. In that video, what we explored was just the selection part, as in you can take iris and then when you pass it to dplyr select, you can be able to just drop in variables without quoting them. So sepal.width, petal.length, then maybe you can quote some of them, species, and when you run this, it just works, right? Well, let's take the first few observations. But dplyr select has another set of functionality, which is you can do both selection and renaming. So you can do something like iris, then you pass it to dplyr select, and then you will do sepal width. Sepal width equals to sepal.width, and then petal length equals length petal length equals to petal.length, and then maybe still have species. Take the first few observations. I messed that up, didn't I? Let's okay, let me just press the up arrow and then head. Okay. Again, I left the closing brackets here. There we go. So you see, in this case, it did both the selection and the renaming. That's what we are going to improve on our previous version of the function select. Now, actually don't have that function, so I'll just have to rewrite it. Will take about probably just a few seconds. So let me create a new directory. I'll just call it select, and then I'll cd into that directory, and then I'll create a new file here, and I'll just call it select.r, and then I'll just split my terminal. You don't have to worry about this part. Tmax new session, let's call it select, and then I will open that directory in neovim, and here we go. So in our previous version, we had select, which was a function of .data and .dot, and the first thing that we did when we got into this function was to capture the dots. So dots was going to be match.call, and then I don't want you to expand the dots, so we set expand dots to false, and then we are going to subset the dots alone, right? So dots, and then after that we'll create a function called tocar, which will conditionally depass the dots, right? So it's going to be a function of x, and then the first thing it checks is if x is a character. If x is a character, then I don't want you to do anything, so I just want you to return x. Otherwise, I want you to depass x. Now, this conditional depassing, we will apply it to dots. So we'll take lapply dots, and the function is going to be tocar. Now, after that, an lapply returns a list. So we need to unlist that so that we can have a character vector of column names, right? So lapply to dots tocar, and then we will unlist, and these are going to be the column names that we want to select. Then after that, we are just going to say selected will be, we take dot data, then subset column names, and then we pass in drop equals to false, so that in case it's just a single column, it's not converted to an atomic vector. So at the end of the day, we want to return selected, and this should work. So let's test it. So we are going to have iris, then we pass it to select, and let's have sepal.length, petal.width, and maybe species quoted. And then let's take the first few observations, and this should work. Let's take it for a spin run. So r script select.r, and there you go. So it does the selection. Now we want to add the functionality such that we can rename these variables. So I can do sepal width, no, actually sepal length. Sepal length equals to that, and petal width equals to that. That's the functionality that we want to add, and it's actually very simple. The first thing after the selection, let's just add a browser here so that we can go like into interactive mode inside of this function when it's called. So we'll add the browser there and then we'll call the function. So let's spin up an R session and let's do source select.r. Now we are we are right where the browser call is. The first thing that we need to check is what are these column names. So the column names, you can see that they are named. When you supply, when you want to rename, the dots will be named, right? That means we first of all need to eliminate the unnamed column names. So that means here we'll just call the new variable to rename. So to rename is going to be call names, then subset call names, no, the names of call names not equal to, like, not the blank ones, because that is what we want. And if we run this expression in the interactive session, you see call names, then subset the names of call names not equal to blank. You can see that we will now remain with the columns that we want to rename, right? After that, the next thing would be to actually do the actual renaming. For this, we'll just use a function called match. If you haven't seen match, here is its documentation. Match returns a vector of the positions of first matches of its first argument in its second. That's exactly what we want. We want to match whatever is in to rename to the names of the selected data frame. So it's basically saying I want you to match to rename to the names of selected. And okay, I don't have to rename here, so that means I'll just have to assign this to rename and run this again. So you can see this returns us the first two indices, 1 and 2. Those are the indices that we want. So I'll go back here and I will say the indexes to rename will be, I want you to match whatever is in to rename to the names of selected. Those will be the indices that we want to rename. Then once we have the indices, it will be as simple as saying the names of selected subset those the indices. So the names of selected subset those indices will be the names of to rename. And it's that simple. This should do wonders. So if I can stop this interactive session and just do r script select.r, there we go. Now it is renamed, both selection and renaming in one step. Pretty interesting stuff to me, if you ask. Yes. So the main idea was to capture whatever columns need to be renamed, and those are the ones whose names are not blank, right? Then after that, you can you get their indices in the original data frame. And then once you get the indices of those columns, then of course you can rename them. So the names of selected subset those indices will now be equal to the names of the to rename variable. And that's it for this video. So you have a good day. Thanks for watching.